Okay.
Stretch a little bit before we get started.
I should have prepared like one of the like fold-outs of Ace just to like stare at it.
Well, that's the best time as ever to actually start. Hey everyone, this is AG and IJ here.
You're recording. It's like,
Yeah.
huh? That's a pirate!
Yeah, we're... So these...
It's not stopping.
So this batch of episodes is the start of Alabasta Pure.
Yeah, it's Alabasta proper as I have it written down in the arc. Because what I do, and I've done this since the beginning, is that I put the name of the episode along with this. I put S for instance for this first episode that we watched in this sequence. It's S02 E91 because that's the call number of the episode. So I can
Season
just
episode,
find it
yeah.
easier.
You go season episode.
Name, and then I have the rating, and then I have the arc. And so for not this first episode in the sequence, but the next one, it's Alabasta proper. Just so I know what is going on.
Alabasta
and I'll
as
probably separate that out further the farther in we go. Like I will have in like parentheses Alabasta or the filler arc or revolutionary or spoiler ... And so,
but before we go into that, we wanted to do a new thing that we wanted to do, which is,
we got something for you.
Is bit impressions. We together watched the first 5 episodes of a series that we had been.
It's been on my list for a while now, actually.
Yeah, and I recently watched the episodes, and then I went, you know what? This would be a really good first series
like
to do
a pilot for this one.
Yeah. So we decided that we were gonna do the first 5 episodes of Rurouni Kenshin.
Rurouni Kenshin. Expect us to pronounce it wrong, because we've been pronouncing it wrong almost our whole lives.
I kept pronouncing it with an M, so it shows how much I am going to be pronouncing it wrong.
I always pronounce it Rurouni Kenshin.
Rurouni Kenshin? Yeah, it's
I
close
pronounce
enough.
it Roni.
It's
Rurouni
close enough
Kenshin.
that you could have gotten away with it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have. Everyone would have called me out on it, and I've been like, not my fault. Yeah.
This episode, by the way, is not sponsored by Wendy's. We just happened to go to it.
I'm just thirsty. And I also brought actual water as well, which I could make an initial D reference, but I won't.
Oh. I forgot that that's from, I forgot that that's one of the,
I love that part! That's amazing!
Yeah, so we're gonna talk really quickly about the overall arcing story. Not go into too many details with the actual episodes themselves, just go over the plot points.
Because here's the thing, and spoilers, we plan on doing more well-known, more modern, well-known series.
We're doing both classic
and newer,
and more modern anime series.
A lot of anime change after a certain point. Like, let's take Bleach, for example. Because Bleach is the perfect example of this.
Because
first 5 episodes have no bearing on where the series ends up, which is a shame, because that first season is the most wonderful piece of art I've ever seen in my life.
It's as I would put it.
I stuck on with Bleach for so long because of that first arc.
Bleach.
Oh.
Bleach
Never
is
got that good again.
a seinen magical girl anime.
Yeah. Because
that
he
is
even
what
does
it
the
is.
transformations practically too. And just palms his forehead and he's just like transformed, and I'm like, oh, this is some good stuff here. I get to have my cake and eat it too, because I never liked Sailor Moon.
We'll get into it when we actually watch it, but not right now, because instead
like,
we're gonna
we've mapped out to like the end of the year, and we're gonna change it. I don't expect, we
drew all over her. We drew all over her calendar, and then we went. Do you know what? We're not gonna do singular episode. We're not gonna do episodes for singular topics, and then differentiate, because we've got to get through One Piece.
Because here's the thing: if we would have done it that way, we would have reached Skypiea. and that was it. Like,
yeah, we would have reached halfway through Skypiea by the end of the year.
We could be in Thriller Bark right now.
But then again, we took a break for like 6 months.
That's what happens.
A year.
That's what happens when you get sick and life happens.
Yeah. So,
Rurouni Kenshin.
General plot of Rurouni Kenshin.
This is the Tokyo prologue arc that is the first 5 episodes.
In the actual real world Japan, there was a war between a rebellious group that got basically quashed, and afterwards they started the Meiji era. And the world in this basically takes place in that era. Surrounding 2 characters. What was her name? It was
here. I got it. Oh. I wrote it all over the place, and now that I need it, I don't have it.
It's K-A...
I'm gonna... Kaoru,
yeah.
Kaoru
who owns,
and Kenshin.
Kaoru owns her father's...
Kenshin.
Yeah, her father's dojo, and most of the early episodes are literally...
Kenshin Himura is his name.
Yeah. And she runs into a wandering swordsman whose name is Kenshi.
Who just happens to be walking down the street minding his own business as if plot ain't about to happen.
And he kind of gets roped into several things.
Protagonist walking down the street, except he's not actually the protagonist of these 5 episodes at all. They don't concern him at all.
He kind of gets roped into her own kind of personal life because her dojo's kind of at a mess right now because... Because they kind of outlawed swords.
Well,
so
even before
swordsman arts are kind of dying out. So
well, not just that. You know, the dojo had always been like trying to push peace. That it wouldn't surprise me if, like, say I watched through this and I figured out that her dad was part of the rebellion. I don't know because I don't know the story beats of what happens in the series. It's been on my anime bucket list for over a decade.
I know quite a bit about it, but I've never actually watched the episodes myself.
But I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me if her dad was part of the revolutionists or part of the group that wanted to outlaw swords in the first place for one reason or another. It wouldn't surprise me because the dojo practices like a pacifist wooden sword art. And,
about disarming your opponent instead of actually fighting them.
And the dojo's greatest student is
a mean
Kaoru
person.
Himself. Is Kaoru herself.
Yeah. And she runs into Kenshi, who is this wandering swordsman who used to work for the government. And he has, apparently, the highest body count of any swordsman in the entire military. And
because apparently when they sent him out... They called him Batosai the Manslayer, and if that seems like I have that memorized, it's because they repeat it 15 times in the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, so for context, we're also watching the dub, so there's probably
I'm watching the dub because dubs do not make Gateway fans, and let's just say if there was a good dub of One Piece, I would be watching it right now, but there's not. So I'm watching the sub.
What, you don't want to listen to "Yo!" like every single time you boot up a new episode?
Hey, that's not... I would enjoy that more than the opening of Rurouni Kenshin. Because the opening of Rurouni Kenshin...
It's so bland it hurts.
No, the first few chords of it, wonderful, perfect, wouldn't change a thing. When it gets into, like, the earworm J-pop, which, like, clashes immensely with the first few bars, I'm like, you know,
If you want to hear earworm J-pop, we're gonna have, if you really want to hear earworm J-pop, watch the opening for, Evangelion.
No, thank you.
Like, that little... bit is stuck in anime fans' ears.
That's catchier than this opening, and I would take it over this opening.
People also skip the opening because it spoils the ending of the series.
Oh, I don't care about spoilers.
It's like, who's Adam? The name of the robot. What?
And anybody with even a passing, like...
And everyone just basically looking at that going, why are you spoiling it?
Brain cells to rub
They show clips from near the end of the series.
SpongeBob's pickles, like, from that one episode.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's what's going on in this show.
But we eventually get introduced to, like, a cast of characters that kind of follow these two around as they...
band. Like,
but what I wanted to talk about more was episodes 4 and 5.
I have... Before we get into that, I need to talk about something. I realized this shortly after watching the 3rd episode. That, you know, this is an old anime. It
is the type of...
It began in the 90s.
Yeah.
Is when the anime hit. And this anime predates a lot of other animes.
It's
and
what
so,
a lot of it's a lot of what it's based on a lot of what parody series do.
A lot of rom-coms try and do what Rurouni Kenshin does. Like, they have the plucky female protagonist that's, like, headstrong for her own good, and boy, she really sucks at cooking, and she's not that nice, but she's trying, you know what, and she's not that bad. And it also kind of has the kid character. You've seen these kid characters that are awful. But what Rurouni Kenshin does is what a lot of other series fail to stick the landing correctly. They actually make these characters a lot of fun and endearing. They play off each other very well. You know, Kaoru and
Little kid.
I wrote his Yahiko. I wrote his name because I actually cared about what happened to him. Because
I think you have to pronounce it like it's one syllable. Yahiko.
I can't do that.
Well, she does.
Yeah. Of course she does.
Just swallows the word Yahiko.
Everybody in this series swallows their words. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so...
He didn't pay for his food again. And so these characters are actually really well done. They're not annoying, and Kaoru, she's not too much. She's actually not annoying. And what the series does in the 3rd episode is it lets the characters stick up for themselves before Kenshin sweeps in to do cleanup. It lets
you
them
kind of
try.
see what she's about too. She this is a shonen series. It's a shonen battle series. So you expect the main character to come in last, kick everyone else's butts, and then they walk out.
Well, it's also one of the predecessors to do that.
Before they get to that, they need to fill it up with the side characters showing off what they can do before it can show up. And because they don't have too many characters right now, that Kaoru has to do this whole like mental games to get them with a little bit of luck to basically help them out. And also, she gets by with a lot of help from her friends. That girl would be dead. But
in a ditch, if not for Kenshin and Yahiko.
Suddenly, this series goes from...
The beefcake enters the scene.
Episode 4
It was impossible for me not to like Sansa.
With basically showing their hand. Mm-hmm. There is a moment where they are sitting...
It doesn't show you...
No, I need to explain this. They are sitting at a cafe, and suddenly... The show basically puts all of its political topics on the table going, would you like to talk about the politics of post-feudal Japan? And everyone just kind of looks down going,
yeah, sure, why not?
This is interesting.
It's like,
as they have an actual political debate between them. And
not only do they have a debate, they have actually a reasonably
a debate with a lot of nuance in it. It was like,
especially for an anime from the 90s, like expecting this from like a shonen battle series of all series to come up with a topic like this. Like, we wouldn't see this again. I don't know when the next time a series did this well.
I know the next time a series did it, period, and that was Evangelion, but they did not do that well.
When they did it well.
Do you want to talk about the loose ramifications of Christianity and
in Japan and
everyone just stares there going,
belong.
But this is not
this isn't
Christianity.
What
are you talking about? Jesus hit people with crosses. That's what the series is about. That's what Christianity is about, right? And everyone goes, no. No, it wasn't. But still, like,
you know what?
The two
they
episodes
probably could have stuck the ending if not for the sarin gas attacks.
Yeah. The whole benefit that this series gets to is sure, they have these episodes 4 and 5 is about mercenary character with a long polearm like sword that is designed to cut horses in half, and he's wielding it in one hand, like he's fighting against Kenshin. But it's not about that. It's about two sides of a political war
and unrest
being used as proxies for those beliefs.
And unrest in Japan, and how those guys are actually fighting for the same thing. They're just going about it in completely different routes.
And
it doesn't make either of them look bad. Like, Kenshin could be walking around covered in blood for all Japan cares. He practically is. Culturally speaking, he walks around with the blood of the people he's killed.
And instead...
physically on him.
But instead, because he doesn't like to fight, he literally took his sword, took the sword that he killed multiple people with, reforged it, and then put the edge on the wrong side of the blade, so his regular stances don't actually kill people. They just maim.
They just... Not only do they maim, they knock people out.
Yeah, he's really good at taking people on without a blade on a real blade on a sword.
Which gets you around the censors when it came to the States.
I went a little bit further into the series than IJ did. I got to about episode 8.
Because I wanted us to talk about it first before I had any extra information.
There was actually a moment in which he's just standing there and things are happening and he flips his sword over. And
that happened in this group of 5.
Oh, it was in these 5?
Uh-huh.
I was like, he flipped it over, and I just tensed. And I went, uh-oh. Because it never occurred to me...
I was expecting that to happen by episode 3. Because they kept going on and on about that blade, how it's a reverse blade. It's a reverse. He can't possibly kill someone with the reverse blade. And I'm like, he's going to flip the blade over.
And then he uses it to cut things.
Episode? No. Ah, there it is.
Yeah, he does that in episode 5, I believe?
Yeah, it's episode 5.
But anyway, I just wanted to talk that... what would you give this series overall?
I'd give it a gold.
I would give it...
It earns its gold in the last 2 episodes, though, because it has to set up the main 3 characters it has to work with before it introduces Sanosuke.
Here's the funny thing.
Sanosuke.
I would give the whole series a silver. I give this series a silver because it's It's information I don't know. I'm basing it off of the first 5 episodes. The reason why I give this series a silver is because it's so parodied.
Uh-huh.
This series, as a whole...
I've never seen the parodies.
No. This series as a whole is used when another anime series basically wants to show this is a typical shonen series. Swordsman fights for a girl while he has strange power, where he has strange, almost otherworldly powers, but in the end it's literally just a man and his convictions. That is literally the epitome of every single shonen series that involves a samurai. If you don't believe me, One Piece and Inuyasha carry this wholeheartedly.
Oh, Bleach does it too, and so does Naruto.
It's just the
My Hero Academia.
It's just the rival character has the sword, not the main character.
Yeah. In a lot of series, you'll see this from what's called the Lancer.
But yeah, you can tell that this series was an inspiration to a lot of other series because this was out before One Piece started, before Bleach and Naruto were even concepts. Like
at the drawing table, you
can tell that this series basically was basically I can make a series, and I was like, if this series can basically get really big, and my series can get really big if I just change a few things.
Also, here's the thing about already these 4 characters: Kenshin, Kaoru, Yahiko, and Sanosuke. They're protagonists in other series.
They really do feel like that they could carry a whole episode
Yahiko
by themselves.
Yahiko reminds me of the main character from Beyblade. Probably the hair.
How much would you like Beefcake to just burst out of trash cans going, let's get ready for a battle.
I wouldn't expect it from him, actually.
Yeah.
From what I've heard about what they do with this character,
but it's
not
so funny.
only what I expected, I would laugh every time it happened. I'd be like, the party's just begun. We've gotta live.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny, like, I don't want to talk about any other episodes but these 5.
Yeah, because I have no idea.
But at the end of the day, they are very stereotypical characters. And being the basis for the stereotypes, not bad, it just makes the series overall kind of get pulled down because other series goes, if that's my bar, I must go above it. So everything climbs above it.
And some of them don't stick the landing. Like, they don't stick the plucky love interest character.
Black Clover.
I have written...
one broken sword isn't enough. Let's give him 3.
Yahiko?
He has 3 now.
Well, that's just copying Zoro, which is... But here's the thing.
He has 3 swords that are like the horse.
It begins with an A. Asta?
Yeah.
Asta? He's basically Yahiko done wrong.
He is if Naruto had
done wrong.
Had that is if you combined literally the little kid character and the Lancer, just shoved them together and made them one character.
And just
and he's just as stupid as both of them combined.
And just drop him on his head. And I just want to say, the instant I saw Sanazuki in the thumbnails, I'm like, him. I want that one. I want that one.
But yeah,
Kenshin, Karu can have it. I want that one.
Speaking of Karu, we need to move on to One Piece.
Is that how you
pronounced her name wrong. Karu.
Karu? I don't know.
You gotta pronounce it with his southern accent. Hello, Miss Karu. I'm trying to do I'm trying to do a southern Japanese accent, but I can't figure out how to do that, so I'll just be from the Ozarks.
I like that girl. Indeed I do.
And it's like, I don't know if it was written like this in Japanese, but it's so good.
But I love it so much in the dub. I'll just let it slide.
The Wandering Swordsman from the Ozarks.
Hey. Would you be surprised if it was set in the if it was set in the 90s? Would you be surprised?
So let's go on to episode 91 of One Piece.
Okay, the end of Drum Island.
Yeah.
Oh, these notes I took.
Why did Karu stay on the river? Okay, so
because Zoro's a terrible babysitter.
Zoro jumped in, went under the water, and when he came out, he was somehow in the forest. Okay,
and Karu was still alive.
And
after
Karu checked the water, stayed in the water so much he became a block of ice for Vivi to just dredge up a little bit later. I was like, Karu, you silly little guy, why'd you do that? And I was like,
and then she beat Zoro's head in. Like, I love it how Vivi was so terrified of these guys in their first meeting. She tries to be all proper and all like with her head down and like, if I slip up, they're going to kill me or sell me out. And she's at the part now where she bashes, where she beats in Zoro's head just like Nami does. And I'm like, haha. She fits right in.
I forgot I wrote that in my notes. Oh, we're gonna get to that.
What was that? I forgot you made that joke.
Okay.
I forgot you made that joke. Like,
so everyone's getting ready to
catches off my glasses.
So everyone just gets ready to head out, like trying to just get off of the island as fast as possible. And meanwhile, you have the rest of the people up at the castle kind of get alerted to the fact that, hey, Luffy has won a poster.
$30 million bounty, which is quite impressive because I don't think they've seen someone with a higher bounty before.
Oh wait, that's not until later. First, we gotta actually talk about. We've got to talk about Chopper getting acclimatized to
the fact that everyone on the Straw Hat crew is insane.
Yeah, so it's like...
They're, like, sticking chopsticks up their nose and, like, screaming and destroying stuff in Chopper's, like, I don't know what
Chopper
I expected.
Looking incredibly traumatized, just go, I'm now their doctor. Yay. And it's
like, he looks like he's slowly losing his mind along with them.
But, we get a little bit of backstory for how Dalton knows who Vivi is, because he's met her before.
And he knew the whole time and was just keeping his mouth shut because he's cool like that, and he was about to impose exile upon himself for his crimes against his island. I'm like, Dalton, they don't deserve you.
So, we cut to a flashback of the Holy Land.
Okay. We're gonna pronounce it. We're gonna spell it. It's gonna be wrong. This'll just be how it is for the rest of the series.
The place is pronounced Marijois because it's a French word.
And I've heard it said Marijois.
Mary Joy's is a place that is a holy land.
Neither of us speak French.
Yeah,
Mary Joy's is a languages between us and French.
And she knows 3 of them.
Well, I kind of can read Mandarin, Chinese. I was
talking about ASL.
Well, I know about
as
much
I'm sorry.
of ASL as
Schools
I know
don't
of
count that as a foreign language anymore.
No, which is dumb.
No, it's got to be an English credit because it's English, because it's American. I was like, dang it, you idiots. We get introduced to Koba, who is Vivi's dad.
Who's amazing.
We see that there's a bunch of people being meeting at this place because all the world leaders in the Grand Line are meeting to talk about the fact that Dragon,
which we saw in Rogue Town.
Rogue.
Rogue. I can't make my tongue do the R and the L sound.
It's why neither of us can learn Japanese, is because we roll our R's too hard.
We roll our R's because it's not happening. So Rogue Town, because I just like Log Town or Rogue Town.
An R and an L is the same thing, so it's both Log and Rogue.
Either way it works, because it's Log Town or Rogue Town, it just works.
It's a Japanese pun that basically is making fun of the way that Japanese pronounce the word. Yes.
Yeah, which is amazing. So, the Revolutionist Dragon, who we saw saving Luffy from Smoker, is talked about,
that he is now in the Grand Line. We don't know what his bounty is. We just know that he is a person that they are keeping tabs on.
Because apparently he could become a serious threat and danger to the world government in 5 years.
Speaking of which, this is 6 years ago.
No, this is like 8 years ago.
Oh, really? It's like 8?
It's 8 years ago.
Okay. So, it's nice to know
and
that
I know
Koba
that
has
because we're not going to say the name of it, but two of these meetings have taken place since we've begun this year, since this moment to the beginning of the series, at least, either 1 or 2 of these meetings have taken place. And we know that because of Vivi's age.
Yeah. We actually get introduced to a young Vivi, and Ingram in a sleeveless shirt, which does not fit well with his hair.
And he's like as skinny as you are.
Just his arms. He's just like. Eh.
Like he looks like a standee doll that Vivi has propped to walk around with him with massive rolled buns for hair.
But we see that Wapol is just a jerk because he gets kind of berated by
Cobra for being...
So he violently hits Vivi going, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there." And then Vivi...
Ingram flips out because no way that was an accident with the force he was moving to hit Vivi with. Wapol could have had his whole island torched for this.
Instead, she basically gets up and apologizes to him snidely and then just walks off to cry in the corner.
In only a way that Vivi can.
Yeah, Vivi did not want to start an international incident, so instead of actually confronting her about it, she basically apologized to him and walked off. I was like...
And took...
She's still in a lot of pain because we see her crying later.
Didn't even give Wapple the dignity of seeing her cry.
Yeah.
Didn't even give him that. And it's like, oh, this girl's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, she could not get any cooler, and Luffy should have hit Wapple twice as hard. Just for this.
But we kind of go out of the flashback to Dalton looking at the wanted poster at this point. As he basically asked, like,
for Wapple too, to Vivi and Ingram, because Dalton has a heart, and he's not a scumbag. So, you know.
But Dalton basically asks the people who bought it, so who bought this wanted poster?
A question to ask, because obviously this place doesn't get wanted posters at all.
So what happened when they showed the flashback of this happening?
So I was trying to write notes because I had to write notes about information about the town that this flashback took place in. So I paused it. You walked into the room and said, I don't think this episode is the one that you think it is. And I forget if I said it or if I thought it, but my comment was, we'll see. I unpause it, smoke clears, and in his full trench-coated glory, it's Ace. In the best outfit he wears all CA season. And do you know why?
Because we never see it again?
No, because he's in clothing.
I
have a thing for men in suits.
So, this guy named Ace, who is waiting for Luffy in Alabasta... We don't get
his name yet.
No, he says my name is Ace, and then he walks off.
And I scream. Like, it's like, I do like...
He basically says, I'm waiting for Luffy in Alabasta, and it's like, what was he looking for?
10 days.
He was looking for a rogue member of his crew named Blackbeard.
Oh, yeah. And he skips out and he skips out on his bill, which I thought was hilarious.
Because it's like super serious.
We also had like Sanazuki from Rurouni Kenshin do the same thing twice. So I'm like, oh, this must just be a thing that tough Southern guys do.
So in the 3 episodes, in the 10 episodes we watched, we saw 5 moments of someone skipping out on their bill. Because 2 of them happened in the same episode of One Piece.
Yeah. It was pretty funny. So I just thought that correlation was hilarious. And you can tell who it is from like a mile away because of the hat. He's got like the same hat he does in like the rest of the 5 episodes, because this scene is filler. This scene didn't exist.
Yeah.
But
they
I'm
just
glad
wanted to
they
allude
put
to
it in.
It's so funny because he's all serious going, I'm waiting for him in Alabasta. Tell him I'll be there. Walks up, hey, you didn't pay your bill. He just starts running off. But
as if there were any need to fear him in the first place.
But suddenly, we have to explain. Okay.
Okay, this episode is bogged down by a lot of exposition. These 5 episodes dropped so much.
This particular episode would be a gold because of how much it foreshadows, but it's a silver because it basically like, here is a book of things to remember.
Like, not for this arc. No. All the information we get here is not for this arc. In fact, it's not even for the next arc. It's 3 arcs down.
I love that band. They made the band, what was it?
3 Doves Grace?
No, 3 arcs down with their famous song Kryptonite.
Okay, so Kureha sees the wanted poster and she goes, "Oh, the will of D lives on." And just like Gold D Roger. And Dalton kind of gives her like a look. It's like, do you mean Gold Roger? And she's
what the young people call it nowadays.
It's like, I'm like, this woman knows stuff.
Yeah.
And she never shares it.
Well, she's been
around for
like
a youthful
twice.
113.
She's been around for like
old.
2 of like Roger's lifetimes, so she knows a lot.
Well, he lived a short life, so.
Most pirates like only spend about 4 years actually doing pirating, and then they either die of
scurvy
or illness or
disease.
natural things, or they actually get caught because pirates aren't usually that good.
No.
Because usually they're people who they're usually deckhands or just straight up people working on a ship that basically go, do you know what? We're not gonna take this back. We're not gonna actually deliver this.
I enjoyed this booze. I'm gonna keep it. I think that will sell in trades today is selling slaves today without a permit. So
meanwhile, over at
So Blackbeard's name is dropped.
We're gonna talk about that after the end of this episode.
Yeah.
So we have while they're sitting down for dinner, Nami basically lays in the Chopper like exactly what they're doing because he needs to be explaining all this.
He has none of this information. As far as he knows, he just joined a wacky crew of insane people.
She basically goes, we're after a man called Crocodile who is a governmentally protected pirate.
A warlord. One of the 7 warlords, mind you.
Yeah.
Did they drop this? With
before.
Mihawk?
This was way back.
With Mihawk. So we know 2 of them. We know Mihawk and we know Crocodile now.
And by the way that they're talking
I took notes about everything that Vivi said.
Yeah.
We're not going to use any of it.
And so Chopper's basically getting laid into the plan that, hey, we need to bring Vivi to Alabasta so she could reclaim her right to her throne because Crocodile's trying to overthrow her. And he's like, oh, so what exactly is this group?
Proceeds to give us the names of several individuals, like the 13 members, like Mr. 1 through Mr. 13, some of which we have names, others of them we don't. Like, it gives us the name of the first 5. They basically said that
out of the group, there is Crocodile, his right-hand man, who is Sunday. And then we have 1 through 13, which are basically the high-end people, and 1 through 5, all of them have devil fruits.
And they get the really important missions. They get sent to places like Little Garden or the like.
Yeah, but 6 through 13 are all 6 through 12 are all about fundraising. Yeah.
Which means they deal in extortion.
Meanwhile,
or they cash in bounties. Probably just as likely.
Meanwhile, 13...
Either one which pays the bills.
13 is used basically as a punishment squad that basically...
Which means that they kill people.
Yeah, they kill people that aren't doing their job properly.
They're the animals. Okay, and we get an additional 200 under the officer agent, which are the billions, and 1,800... which are the millions. And that is a grand total of 2,028 members of the Baroque Works that are listed here that we know of.
What irony. That's probably the year that One Piece is going to end.
I doubt it.
What, you don't expect the series to go on for another 9 years?
I expect it to go on for another 10 years. Are you kidding? 10 years.
So they're now about to reach Alabasta.
Hark! What is that in the distance? Is that a magical swan I see?
Nah, it's just some gay person. I am being serious.
We're being gentle. We're being nice to what the manga is.
It is literally written on his back, I am a gay person.
In actually a very crude way. So
there's a reason why in the anime...
We're making an effort not to use a certain word because it's not a very nice word, and we don't believe in using words like that here on this channel.
But for all intents and purposes, on his back is literally written basically a derogatory phrase to himself that he has assigned himself. And it's basically like...
Well, this is unnecessary.
No wonder they removed it in the anime. And instead, it's just written on his back, his name, of Bon Clay.
Which makes the joke even funny. Which makes the joke even funnier in the next episode. It makes it even funnier. It's like, oh, I didn't know who he was. But we'll get to that joke there. Because, Mr. 2 has arrived on Little Garden.
And he is very upset that Mr. 3 left.
Mr. 3's not there.
Yeah.
Which is a darn shame.
Yeah, as a subordinate, he should have stayed and waited to die. And we get introduced to Crocodile once again with his chonkodiles basically swimming around him.
How did we make that joke? Was it just because they were so big?
Yes. They literally look like that cat in the pictures. It was like, oh no, he's coming. Episode 92, though, is...
Crocodile said it was my turn to use the Xbox.
Wrong joke, but close enough.
I love that joke. I use that joke in every opportunity I get.
So, episode 92 is basically the crew getting introduced to Bon Clay. And they did this in a very interesting way. So, first off, we have a moment where we watch evil pirates fighting against sand vigilantes. Oh wait, no, the sand vigilantes never even show up. They don't even
make it.
They don't even make it because
they're en route.
Because Captain Hook shows up to just disperse all of them.
Literally.
In an unknown power at this point.
Yeah, unknown.
Even
except
though
he can take sand.
We know that he drains water from people.
And things, because we also see it being drained from apples in a cart.
But
and
we also know that because of devil fruits, his power is not related to water. Because this is a thing that's been in One Piece of devil fruits cannot be related to water.
In fact, we'll see this.
Devil fruits can't be fish.
In fact, we'll
can't
see
be fish-based.
Oda.
It can't be controlling water. The closest it ever gets is having the ability to control frost.
Yeah,
that's like as close as it gets.
Makes a lot of wraparounds to include water-like things without actually using water. It's
literally the closest it gets is
and some characters are the closest that they can get to with having a devil fruit.
Honestly, the closest it gets is literally Mr. 3's wax fruit because because it flows like water. That's as close as it gets
until he hardens it.
So
it took me I don't know if I even made this joke when we did the episode. Mr. 3 is basically a mob boss because he encases their feet in concrete.
Yeah.
And then he kills them.
Speaking of mob bosses, Sanji is getting really upset that someone took all of his food.
Because apparently Luffy made his way past the small mouse traps to eat all their food again. Luffy caught them a seagull.
It wasn't Luffy. Luffy gets
No, he eats some of it. He had food crumbs on his face, which means he was a
he didn't have food crumbs. That was the joke. Is that he's like, I see food crumbs. What? I knew it. He just ate some. I was like, and then it's like,
no, he ate the bait.
You guys, what are you doing? And they're all with food in their mouth too. I was like, we're catching more.
And Usopp.
Yeah, and it's like, they all have food in their mouths, going, catching food. Okay, because we ate that massive seagull yesterday, and we somehow ran out of all the food.
Luffy ate that massive seagull yesterday.
Yeah.
Let's assign blame to where it's properly due.
And
Luffy ate that entire seagull.
And at this point, I am no longer referring to her as Vivi. I'm now referring to her as optional Nami character, because she literally walks up in a very Nami fashion and just smacks their heads around, going,
because they're out of bait.
No, so they're out of bait. And
because Luffy ate the bait inside the bait box, and Usopp ate the covering around the bait box. That's literally the conversation that they have.
Yeah, so they use Karu to fish for food, and she just goes like, "What are you doing?" It's just smashing their heads together, basically what Sanji did a little bit before that. And then it's like. And I was like, "Hey, what's that over there?" It's a green venomous vapor coming up out of the ocean.
I'll get Nami.
Where is it coming from? There's probably an aggro crag down there. We don't know. Nickelodeon Guts is wanting to outsource. Who knows?
Yeah, it turns out.
The sad part is you have no idea what I referenced. Because you didn't watch Nickelodeon Guts as a kid.
No, I didn't. What was I watching? I was too busy watching Cartoon Network instead.
Anyway, Sanji is going down to prepare food, conveniently to remove himself from what is about to happen.
very fortunate, actually, as they'll find out.
Bon Clay, meanwhile, is sailing in his ship, and
they enter the field at different points.
And
Clay steps off his boat and holds on to Karu.
And
it's wonderful.
And so when they pull up Karu, there's just a swan man sitting there, and they have to fish him out of the water because he can't swim.
They caught a swan.
Yeah.
And they didn't let him die.
Yeah.
Which is actually one of the best things they ever could have done in this whole series.
Seeing Bon Clay is visibly creeped out.
I do
not blame her.
He tries to hit on her, and then he stops because he realizes that no one believes him.
He then goes, "Do you want to see a magic trick?" He then
beat slaps Luffy up the face.
Zoro
pulls his sword to go and cut him down.
He full palm smacks Luffy and takes his face for himself.
Oh, he doesn't remove his face. He just copies his face.
Yeah.
That would have been a different series entirely if he removed his face.
So Bon Clay's ability is the clone food. He touches people with one hand, and he can then swap his face with others.
Touches their
but
face,
it's not
touches his face.
But it's not just face. It's their full body that he's replicating.
Because he basically flashes the Straw Hats in Nami's body.
So he starts going through a bunch of faces going, I have a very vivid memory. I have remembered every single person I've touched. And I could just remove it with this hand.
And he's flipping through people after touching each of the Straw Hats except for Vivi and Sanji.
Vivi because she's up on the upper level and it would be awkward for him to run up there and touch her.
And Sanji is trying to make food. Well, he's trying to find food to make Luffy before Luffy eats them all.
Yeah.
Or eats Chopper by mistake.
But as he's going through, for a split second, he turns into Cobra.
And
as Vivi starts physically freaking out.
She grips the front of the rail, and she just she stops and she doesn't speak for the rest of the encounter. Bon Clay leaves on his ship as his crew announced, Mr. 2, we're glad to have you back. As he goes, thanks guys, as they sail off, and they're
they go, oh no.
And
so
Vivi,
it means two things have just happened. One, Mr. 2
has
from
their
the group
faces.
Has an entire repertoire of faces.
Not just their faces, their physical forms.
Because Crocodile is the only one that knows every member of the organization, all he has to do is is Vivi was there too, and he goes, oh yeah, so her, and
who was she with? And
and he would be able to flip through. The only face that it does not get included is Sanji. This is a plot point that will not be brought up for a while, but it is a very funny running joke in the series.
That Sanji is always gone when stuff gets like quicksand. Also, Vivi has a funny shtick which is made funnier in the anime because of the switch out of his name.
Yeah, because of his name is on the back.
She says, I didn't know anything about Mr. 2 other than the fact that he was a male ballerina, had the voice of a woman, had the voice of a woman.
No, had the cadence of a woman.
His voice had the cadence of a woman, and he had his name Bon Clay written on his back.
As you then go, wait. I was like, how?
And they go, how did you miss that?
Yeah, so it causes a continuity problem. Because they don't say what his martial arts skill is on his back.
Which we're actually very thankful of.
Yeah, but it does cause some continuity problems. They then find something to eat. A sea cat.
A lucky cat.
A lucky cat sea monster. Which they are unable to hunt because it's a sacred animal to Alabasta, meaning that they are within waters of Alabasta. Mm-hmm.
And
Sanji then goes, man, I would have hated if I was there. I don't like gay ballerinas.
Well, a shame, Sanji, because gay ballerinas sure love you.
Uh-huh.
Which will become a plot point. In about 2 years from
now. After sneaking past the after sneaking past the blockade of Baroque Works, they
don't know how
they basically lay in front of you, hey, we did something. And it's like, what? And I was like, yeah, the crew basically wrapped their arms. Okay. No, you're not allowed to know why.
And I immediately guessed that it was for shapeshifter insurance, as any good party should have.
Yes.
It's shapeshifter insurance, because
and
as we just found out, Bon Clay can change his body, he cannot change his clothing.
Yeah. Meaning that if they do anything to...
And Sanji as well also has the band, which is very good, because they don't know if he's going to get Sanji while they're not looking.
Yeah.
So that's actually fairly smart.
Episode 93 starts off with... we get thanks, phone.
Usopp wants Tabasco sauce, and he wants Tabasco sauce, and he wants Tabasco sauce. Tabasco. Shut up, Tabasco.
So they've reached the city of Nanohara. Nanohara. A very Japanese name for an Indian desert city.
Uh-huh. It's very Gobi-esque, which is fitting because One Piece is a Japanese series.
So
because
Usopp
it's not
basically...
Egyptian, like it's not a Saharan or a sub-Saharan city, and you can tell by the clothing and by the architecture of the village. Like they look like mosques, but they're not.
Yeah. So Usopp basically sneaks everyone in the town. Good job, Usopp.
Covers them all with the cloth as the entire town.
No one is suspicious at all,
except the entire town.
Because
not only is there a reindeer there, and the blonde-haired mob boss walking down the street with what looks like a massive alligator with a sheet covering it.
But they did make two observations. One, because Mr. 3 is here, Sanji and Chopper are the only two that can basically walk around without disguises on. Because they personally did not meet Mr. 3. And I'm like,
because Chopper wasn't there, and Sanji was
too busy taking out Mr. 13.
Uh-huh.
And Mr.
Well, he was in their house, taking them out. Taking the call for them, which got Mr. 3 in a lot of hot water.
But they also also noticed that for a rebellion just sweeping through the area, this place is oddly peaceful.
Calm. It's oddly calm and peaceful, and as if nothing wrong is going on in this town.
Yeah, almost like all the villagers' morale have been boosted by something, and
Vivi's morale as well is kind of boosted by not seeing everyone dead, because you could tell that she planned on coming back to corpses lining the streets.
Okay. So, we know two things. One, the rebel army is currently stationed in the Yuba Oasis.
Uh-huh. Which is a bit more inland than they are now.
And that anywhere in the city could be Baroque Works agents
in disguise.
In disguise. So they need to figure out, Luffy, why did you run past the city?
That's literally how it goes.
Yeah, it literally goes... Oh, Luffy's not here. It's just past the city.
Which is a rare treat when Zoro is the one who doesn't get lost. In fact, this is the only time when Zoro doesn't get lost.
Luffy gets lost. Basically, he's out by this outpost.
He's halfway between two towns, basically.
Yeah. So he's trying to find food, and so he opens a bunch of
bags, which I put at first that they were grain bags. He opened them up, they were green powder, and I'm like, that's not grain.
And so he goes, ew, this is disgusting. He just burns all of it.
In typical Luffy fashion.
And
if
the guy inside the building
burn it.
basically yells at him going, why have you burned my dance powder? And my first thought is, why is it called dance powder? Rain dance. Oh, okay. So the idea of this powder is that it's rain summon. Is that it's not just like a rain dance and then like culturally you're thinking that you're gonna be summoning the rain. Instead, this is something that when you burn it, it
changes the atmosphere.
Yeah, so it makes a lot of sense for why this would be outlawed, because if you were to terraforming is not the correct word. If you were to reshape the area to the way you want it, it would be useful, but it would also be useful in war to basically
flood an area.
Yeah, to flood an area, and I could see why the world government would make this illegal.
Especially as we're gonna find out. Not just the pirates have devil fruits.
Yeah.
But the Marines have them too. And water is the enemy, which I just thought of something. And we're not far enough for me to talk about this. Something just crossed my mind. We're gonna move on though. Because we can't talk about this because there's no substantiated evidence for what just crossed my mind.
Meanwhile, this whole time, we've been cutting back and forth between Luffy
and Chopper.
Who's Sanji
having
basically
a heat stroke.
Yeah,
because Sanji wants to hit on girls instead of
so he accidentally gets picked up by the rebellion as they're moving a bunch of equipment. As they're basically like, dude, we're not even sure why we're here. And I was like,
there's 300,000 of the Royal Army. We get that information at least. And the main guy's name is...
Wait, did I say that the rebellion was over in Yuba? Or... No.
Yes, they are in Yuba.
I can't... It's either the rebel army is in Yuba or is the remnants of the Royal Guard is in Yuba. I forget which, but they were trying to get over there. Mm-hmm. Either way, like, the rebellion that is being basically supported by Crocodile is like, we don't even want to fight. Like, we've basically... It was like, we're basically at a standstill right now. Why would we push forward? Meanwhile, so basically when Chopper meets back up with...
He follows the perfume back home, basically.
And he's an animal. Sanji is like, okay, here's a bunch of outfits to make us not stand out. Here are a bunch of belly dancer uniforms for Vivi and Nami. It's like...
And he gets himself really nice clothing.
Yeah, and it's like...
And he gets the other three trash.
And it's like, what? Commoner clothing. We needed commoner clothing. Dancers are commoners. Sanji, stop.
That's like, there's no stopping him.
Luffy is still lost.
Not only is he lost, he also took the guy's lunch.
No, he was given it. He was basically given a rice ball. What you're supposed to do is they're usually like soaked in a liquid, and you're supposed to slowly eat it as you go through, or even like suck on it to like gain some like liquid as you're going through. He literally ate it in like 2 bites.
Of course he did, because he's
like,
hungry.
This isn't gonna help me at all. He's like,
that's like he's like bite, inhales the rest of it.
Yeah. Episode 94 starts with a map. Oda
We're gonna need this
loves maps.
His maps. As we see in the
Okay, I need to show this. I'm gonna move the camera a little bit. I'm gonna put it back. Okay, so I love maps too. I found this new map and I've just put it up onto my wall. But I usually really like maps to games. Games, movies, everything. One of my favorite aspects of One Piece is the fact that Oda says, everyone calm down. Here is a map of the whole area so you can keep track of where everyone is.
He's like, hold on to this. I've got a copy here. Here's the basic players. Let's move on.
Yeah.
And he does this, and I'm really glad he does it.
Because it helps you keep track of things.
Much information. There's a lot of characters in One Piece. And maps are actually really crucial in places like Alabasta. Like, this is the first big arc we've ever had. We've had small skirmishes before. Luffy is going to take on a warlord. That's Luffy's aim. Mm-hmm. He wants to get rid of Crocodile simply because he's making Vivi's life miserable.
So we meet back up with Ace. He is no longer wearing his jacket because it would be far too warm to wear a black jacket.
You could say he runs a bit hot all of the time.
Yeah. So he's walking around and he gets accosted by a street vendor who's basically like, eat this golden apple I found. That's this legendary thing, and you will live forever. As he goes, no. I just
for
need to
1,000 years.
You'll live for 1,000 years. And he goes, no thanks, I just need to live for today. And if that doesn't sum up a lot of Ace's personality, character? I don't know what will.
Well, his whole family is just like that too.
Yeah, in which it's basically, I was like, I just
if
need
I'm
to...
too focused on the future, I can't live for today.
Yeah.
And I just want to enjoy today. It's just basically what he's saying. Which sums up a lot of what this character...
And the characters of his family, are. And we will get into who their family is at the end of these videos. At the end of this series of episodes, actually.
Yeah, because Usopp and Chopper tried to buy the apple. Nami and Zoro stopped them.
Because one, it's a little too expensive, and two, of course it's fake.
Because it's a painted apple. They basically gilded normal apples in gold paint.
Man, it's almost like that's where the phrase gilding comes from.
Yeah. So, and Zoro watches Ace walk off. And you can tell that Ace is setting off alarm bells in Zoro's mind, but it's not until Ace stops at a fortune teller vendor, pulls out Luffy's wanted poster, and asks if she's seen him. And that's when Zoro narrows in on Ace. And so much is conveyed in this scene, and it's all subtext, that Zoro has done this situation before.
As a bounty hunter, he would have had to, but it's another confirmation that, Zoro is kind of the idiot of the group. He is, he's
the bumbling...
Non-observant is the phrase I would give him.
When he doesn't need to
he's basically
he doesn't waste information. He doesn't waste time on information he doesn't need to know.
He's kind of like Knuckles or other sort of I am the powerhouse but I'm not the smart guy personality
because he
types.
doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
That's what Nami's there for.
Yeah. But suddenly Tashigi shows up and Smoker's working overtime. So they've got to basically get out of there as fast as possible without being seen.
This episode was good on my eyes. I loved these 2 episodes. They were amazing. Not platinums, though. They weren't platinums. I could not award them platinums for eye candy. That's not what they're for.
After checking back in with Luffy... suddenly there's a dead body at a restaurant. And they're like, oh, what is it? Ace is just...
It's like that joke from Dane Cook, where it's like, oh, it's a dead body. It's a dead body.
Pull out the picnic chairs. This is the best thing we're going to see.
Pulls out the cameras. It's like, I'm like...
Yeah, so Ace basically fell asleep in his food. And everyone was like, oh, we wanted to see a dead body. Aw, as they just basically walk off.
As he starts to eat, wipes his mouth on a girl's dress, goes back to eating, falls back asleep, wakes up again, and keeps devouring half a stack of more plates.
Oh, he would if Smoker didn't show up.
He got through.
No. He would eat more, but Smoker shows up and stops him. Mm-hmm. Basically outing him as a member of the Whitebeard Pirates.
Well, Zoro did that first. Zoro called him the second commander of the Whitebeard Pirates. And that every bounty hunter in the world knows who the Whitebeard Pirates are.
Because
they're no small fry, basically, is what we learn. And Ace is not a small
Ace,
fry. Later
on in these 5 episodes, refers to him as, well, he's the king of the pirates. Why wouldn't I follow him? As Luffy, we'll get to the conversation that Luffy and Ace have a little bit later. Mm-hmm. So, Smoker basically asks, what are you here in this random place for? As Ace goes, for my brother. As we cut to Luffy, who suddenly launches himself into the restaurant to get food.
No, he launches himself at Smoker's back. Smoker was propelled into Ace. Ace's eyes bug out as this is happening. Flies them through the opposite wall.
And through 8
houses into half of the rubble of someone else's wall.
Yeah, As
like Ace is like, who did this? I won't forgive this. He's just like stalking out. He's so pissed.
And then he sees Luffy and goes, brother, you're here.
And like Smoker face plants Ace into the ground.
Although
As
I like
Ace isn't worth 3 of Luffy's bounties himself.
Yeah, and at this time, like, the restaurant owner is like, shouldn't you be running? He goes, but I'm eating. And we forgot. Oh wait, never mind.
No, we didn't forget anything.
So Luffy is just sitting there, just packing food in, as Smoker just starts like expounding to Luffy about how he's gonna capture him, and he just goes, "Who was this guy again? I can't remember." Oh, you're the smoke.
He spits out his food into Smoker's food.
Oh yeah, you're the smoking guy. As he goes, "Do you insult me?"
And it's like you can see Luffy as he's remembering Smoker. Sweat beats his face, and like his eyes like enlarge, and he's like. It's like, and you
Luffy
see
then books it.
No, he inhales the rest of his food. Says, "Thank you for the food." About faces runs, does not pay his bill, does not tip. He's
Meanwhile,
just out.
Ace also leaves without paying his tip as well.
Because they're brothers, of course they would do the same thing.
On the bright side, it's beneficial to Nami that he never pays his bill.
Yeah. Because he's a pirate, why would he?
Yeah,
so you have Luffy racing as he's trying to consume the rest of his food. He needs to live. Smoker chasing Luffy and Ace behind them, trying to catch up.
Yeah, there's even a moment where like Luffy does like an instant transmission thing, and it's like, where did he go?
That genius.
And then he's like, oh. How did he get down on the bottom so much? As he literally just fell through the cracks of 2 buildings and he wasn't paying attention.
No one said that Smoker
was
the smart.
The Straw Hat Pirates are like,
he just looks the best.
What's going on? Probably some idiot pirate got everyone riled up. Oh no, it's our idiot.
Get Straw Hat! Get him! Oh no, that's ours. And he turns. It's like. Hey, Zoro, Nami, guys! And he runs.
That's the rest of the crew. Dang it! Now we need to pack up and leave. This was a good spot. As then, Ace shows up and he says,
the day.
"You may be smoke, but I am fire." As he shows off his flare fruit.
And Luffy's eyes grow wide. It's like, Ace, what are you doing here?
Yeah, and so it's such a good intro to Ace, because you get him being serious, him being joking, him showing his powers, him showing why he's there, and how he works, who's he affiliated with, and they do it without actually like dropping a massive ton of exposition. Mm-hmm. We don't really know about Whitebeard besides they had to censor his swastika off of his back. But that's beside the point.
But just like that, they had to Smoker. They
had to remove Bon Clay's wording. They switched out the manji that was on his back, which. Oh wait, no, that's a different series. I was like, it's a manji. No, it's tilted at a diagonal. That is a swastika, and it's like. Oh, it's a different series I was thinking of, but still.
Okay, I thought I was confused. Like, I don't remember him being.
But yeah, so they had to they removed the manji from his back because of connotations, especially when it's like this evil person has a manji as their symbol. I was like, oh.
Yeah. And they do it all without making Smoker look bad. Because if they make Smoker look bad,
sure?
They make Luffy look bad by proxy.
Like, they even had a moment where, like, Ace is, like, really upset, like, trudging up, but then he's like, oh, sorry, I accidentally interrupted your lunch.
And, like, goes back to fuming mad.
Yeah, and it's like, it's such a good introduction to Ace.
Because you can tell that he's got a good heart, but he doesn't take his anger out on people who don't deserve it. Luffy will probably find his head in a series of pillows by the end of this. Just, like, smothering him. It's like, you put me through a wall!
Yeah, so we get to episode 95.
This was a good episode.
So, Smoker shows off his new power. Then I don't think he ever showed off White Spark in the first time that we encountered him.
I don't know either.
It was shot like it was a new ability at least.
Yeah. Like it looked new. I write down everyone.
Ace basically distracts
and tells Luffy
the pirates enough.
Luffy introduces Ace to his crew as they're running away. As Ace is Luffy's older brother.
Okay.
Because that's the term he uses. He's my older brother. He's the big brother to
we
Luffy.
Never actually said what his full name is.
He packs away.
We never said what Ace's full name was. Smoker introduces him as Portugas D. Ace of the second in command of the Whitebeard Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
As you then go, are they only related by the D in their name? Yes, that is the point. Is that they are related by the D in their middle name.
They have the bond stronger than that. They have what's the name of this episode? Hot emotions and brotherly bonds.
Yeah, that is the second.
I love One Piece. It's just as good as Wolves Don't Howl Alone. I love shonen.
I think Super Chunky from Hell is still a better name for a chapter. But yeah, Wolves Don't Howl Alone is also
names.
Then
it's
again,
like
Kubo was like
but the rain.
Then again, Kubo from Bleach basically said every chapter felt like a new entry in a metal album, which was his inspiration for a lot of these things.
Mm-hmm. So they're still running away. Luffy gets lost again.
Yeah. But don't worry, Ace catches up to them, so both of them could have some moments of like
yeet a barrel through the floor.
Yeah,
and not just any barrel, one with water inside of it.
Yeah, so maybe they should have held on to that barrel a little bit.
Maybe they shouldn't have given it to Luffy. But if
maybe they should have an arm wrestling contest on top of the barrel.
Luffy's known to do dumb things. It's okay.
But they have this interesting back and forth where Ace is like...
Where Ace offers...
Well, do you want to join the Whitebeard Pirates? You could just bring your entire crew. You could just be under me, who is under Whitebeard. And he goes, nah, because I'm going to be king of the pirates. I can't be under someone who claims to be the king of the pirates. I can't be the king of the pirates if I'm under someone who already thinks that they are the king of the pirates. As he goes, I tried.
It's like, I had to try, bro. I had to try.
Yeah, they are such good brothers.
They are such good brothers.
Because it's literally like finding a second Luffy in your cast.
And the only difference between the two of them is that he has better manners than Luffy does. Clearly because he had to clean up all of Luffy's messes when they were children. And so manners were beaten into him at a young age because he was the older sibling. It's like you will make sure your brother doesn't get into trouble. Okay, fine. That's great.
Yeah, Luffy starts gushing about his crew, saying, "I'm still sad that we don't have a musician in our party. We really need that." We then
not
have
as much as they need a doctor or a shipwright.
Yeah, they still need a mechanic on the ship.
Yeah, Usopp's not cutting it.
Well,
at least Luffy hasn't tried to take the mask off.
Suddenly, they're surrounded by jobbers who a little bit earlier into this episode, we see that these characters with really bad designs decided to just take out Mr. 11.
Yeah. As if he was
an unnamed character that they didn't want to be of any impact. Period. Mm-hmm. So they just removed him, and they're like, "Now we're gonna be
Mr. 11.
Now we're gonna be captains. All we have to do is kill Luffy." And they're like,
"No, Ace. Ace is the one that they go after."
They need to take out Ace and Luffy. Either one of those is a really big threat to Crocodile. So
especially with what we're gonna learn about Luffy and Ace, they're absolutely a threat to Crocodile.
And then it's like, "We're here for your heads." as they suddenly
past them.
Yeah, they suddenly teleport past them, and it's like
they probably just shoved past him and just kept walking, because Luffy and Ace.
We see him. He's like this big guy that's like taking up most of the alleyway, and the next thing we see him, they're behind him, and he's like, "How did they get past me?"
Because of the family that they come from. This is par for the course. Like, if they don't care about you, they'll walk
They start
past
fighting all these guys. Aces catches a lot of swords, literally with his fingers.
And then, like the sword comes for Luffy, and you clearly see him watching Luffy. Like, he wants to see if Luffy can hold his own in the fight before he gets involved. It's like, okay, brother, I'll step in if you need my help. And then the sword comes down, and Ace is like, no, not happening.
Yeah, so they make it back to the ship, and Ace basically catches up to him on his really cool skipper.
So cool, I love this thing.
He powers it by lighting on fire and standing directly into the engine. We didn't
mention this. Ace has a devil fruit, too.
No, I mentioned it.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Okay. The Marinara no Mi.
Yeah, in Japanese it's Marinara no Mi. He with the pizza fruit, the Marinara no Mi.
Yeah. So with the squash match pretty much done, and Muscles McGee a twinkle
suddenly,
in the distance.
Ace goes, "I will take out the blockade," steps onto his skipper, and murders 8 ships.
Well, first, he endears himself to the crew with the fact that he has good manners.
And like, thank
you for taking care of my brother. I know he is a handful, but please take care of him for me.
And the reason why he has this moment...
Zoro's crying in the background. It's like, such a good brother. I wish I had a brother like that. I'm like,
meanwhile,
are you crying?
Ace is saying all this because in the manga, he disappears at this point, and we don't see him. And we don't see him for a while. No, just a while.
Oh, just a while?
Yeah, because he shows up later this arc. In the manga.
Okay. Alright.
But the problem is...
Shows how long it's been since I've read this arc.
But Ace basically goes, "Now I'll accompany you for our filler arc," as they go, "Yay!" As they all, like, toast to him. And it feels so good that Ace is able to interact with his brother in the anime.
We worked out how many people must have been on those ships. There was, like, what, 8
if
ships
there is,
destroyed?
Yeah, there's 8 ships, and if there's at least 30 crew members on those ships, because that is a usual crew size for a galleon ship of that type, like, he has a kill count in the hundreds.
Which is the highest kill count
from this scene
we've seen since Mihawk. Like,
Mihawk killing
Mihawk is
half
giving him
of that massive ship that I believe is more galleon design.
It's in the other notebook. I would have to look it up, because that was.
It's more of a warship.
Yeah, that was like an fleet ship. That was a flagship. It held like 1,000 people, I think. I don't know.
There was like 1,000 people on that ship, and like half of them died of starvation before they even got there, and then 90% of them were killed by Mihawk.
And Ace is a well-known pirate. He probably deals with like squash matches and jobbers like this on a regular basis.
And you can
tell that this is no big deal. 8 ships burned alive and left as pieces of burnt debris in the water. This is like no big deal to Ace. What he's done. It's like, and like, for the first time we see a real pirate that Luffy looks up to. Like this is the kind of person that Luffy has modeled.
But we can honestly, like,
but these guys would have killed the Straw Hats if they got the chance.
Oda said that he usually writes characters and then gives them powers based off of their personality. This happens a lot in a series. When it comes to Ace, he literally made a fiery character who just happens to have fire powers. It's not even about the fact that Ace has these fire powers. He is a character who burns things.
Yeah.
He
burns things.
I'm trying to think of the correct way to say it. But when it comes to Luffy, who his powers are all about rubber and he bounces back from things really quickly, and he never kills people. Like, Wapple, the guy that they just defeated, he comes back later because he didn't even kill him. Because he doesn't into the kill people.
He probably sent him to the next island.
Ace, a person he looks up to, can't help but kill people. His power is, he is so powerful
and so well known.
Accidentally kills people.
Mm-hmm. And
he doesn't care. He aligns himself with a strong pirate because he is useful.
And we learn more about this exchange, like who Ace is in the future, and like what Ace has done for himself in the 2-year head start he got on Luffy. He's been roaming around in the Grand Line and in the East Blue for 2 years before him and Luffy met back up. Got himself at least 2 tattoos in the process. Nothing wrong with those tattoos.
I would like.
He just spelled.
Just for now, we're gonna just imagine that the tattoo artist was trying to write Ace, but then he accidentally forgot that there isn't an S in Ace, so he just crossed it out.
I wonder why there would be an S in Ace. Can't imagine it. At all.
Yep.
Not at all. No reason whatsoever. Anyways.
Before we talk about the overarching summary.
Ace is undefeated by Luffy. In all the years that they fought, Ace is put up as the stronger one. He is the older brother.
And he didn't even have a devil fruit when they were
left.
fighting. Yeah.
Because, like, the devil fruit is news to Luffy. Like, suddenly, Ace is even cooler.
It also sounds like that his bounty was even raised because he got this devil fruit. Mostly because it's a Logia devil fruit. Just like Smokers, having one of those really powerful devil fruits puts you on a radar.
Mm-hmm. And the reason that the riders trump up for Ace coming with them is like, oh, Blackbeard is in Yuba, because of course he is, because everything's there. So
like,
of course Ace would want to go there.
Well, he wants to at least see if he was even here, because he's been tracking him down. Or if he can catch up
the trail.
But he also heard that Luffy was in the area, so he just kind of stopped by and like see if
he paused to check if Luffy was gonna pass by through the area. And
new outro though. New outro.
Not a big fan.
Yeah, not a big fan either. At least it includes Chopper and Vivi for a little part of it.
And we're gonna have this outro until like 116, right?
Very short amount of time for an intro.
Good.
Oh wait, no. Yeah, kind of a short.
You have it written as outro number 6. This new one.
Yeah, I could be wrong though.
Well, we counted it, so it looks right to me. I have it written.
I liked these episodes, but I still feel that it's like building up to something, you know? The best parts are definitely when Ace is fighting against all the guys, because him being introduced is the biggest thing that has happened in the series since they entered the Grand Line. No doubt.
Yeah, here's the thing.
To quote more the 4Kids opening.
I fully know that my rating I give it, whether or not I give it a silver or a gold, it is tainted by the fact that I love Ace in these episodes.
Sorry, I'm just caught up on the fact that I'm still thinking about the 4Kids opening of like, you know, it was like, oh, Brock does the opening. Oh, that's Seto Kaiba. Oh yeah, that's the same voice actor. How is that the same voice actor? They don't even.
I just imagine the voice of Seto.
Could you imagine Seto Kaiba going, "Oh, jelly donuts. These are my favorite."
Yes, because you just
in his not quite solid snake voice.
But almost. So, the rating I give these episodes is hinged upon the fact that whether or not I give it gold or silver, it's tainted by the fact that I love these episodes. If I give it a low rating, it's because I'm trying to lowball it to not show favoritism, which in and of itself is favoritism, If I give it gold, it's still favoritism, so it's right on that line.
You can give it gold though.
I give it gold.
I give it a silver because as I say, like the beginning of an arc needs to be its grounding moment to show it going up.
The beginning of this arc was also set up in advance.
Because
in
here's
places
the problem:
like Drum Island and Little Garden as well. We've hit the home stretch. We're halfway into the Alabasta.
Well, this is the problem with the Alabasta arc as a whole. It's actually it's 4 mini arcs stapled together.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing:
when you really look at it that way, it makes it a little harder to definitively say like where is the end of the rising action when it comes to its
here's the thing too.
Climax.
The thing about Alabasta is it's an arc populated by a lot of really big personalities and not a lot of really big story beats. Most of what comes into play in this arc is important in arcs down the road. It's not self-contained like other arcs in the past.
This is sort of like what we had during East Blue, where it's a bunch of mini arcs building into a large over arc.
Which stops after
this kind of that sort of like mentality stops right after this arc.
No, it stops after Skypiea.
No. Skypiea doesn't have that because it's like here is stop 1, then a large portion of it is the actual story, and then there's a climax.
And then
there is no mid-rising actions in it. It is but in Alabasta it's Whiskey Peak rising action. Going in drops a little bit as they go into Little Garden. Climax, drop into Wano.
Drum Island. You got Wano on the brain. I know I do.
I've been reading. I've been trying to get caught up. I'm still not that far yet.
Isn't it amazing?
I'm still on the fence. I'm still on the fence of whether or not it's good or perfect.
Are you in Wano or are you in Whole Cake? Still.
I'm still. They are just about to enter Wano.
Okay. You've left the song that never ends, except it's not that long in the grand scheme of things. It just took forever to resolve.
Yeah, it's what happens when they deliberately tell Oda, do not work yourself to death. And he goes, but that's been my thing the whole time.
But it's how I live. How will I work myself to death if I don't work myself to death?
It was like, and they're like, Oda, if you work yourself, if you kill yourself making One Piece, you can't make that mech series that you wanted to always make. Oh yeah.
I'll just throw more of that into.
And you know what? I'm gonna scrap the main character, throw him into One Piece. It's like no.
It's 5 years. 5 years of time.
His name is Captain Kidd, and he shows up a lot later.
Captain
Kidd was, I believe, originally intended to be in a completely different series, and you could tell.
Well, so was Zoro.
Well, yeah, Zoro was like the original main character.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, Sanji was also gonna be the main character.
But so yeah.
But instead, he was never accepted to Shingeki no Soma, and instead he just came here.
Nope, he got in.
Oh yeah, he got in. I forgot.
He got in. He got in.
We're gonna need to do a mini review of that movie eventually because that's an amazing.
Why not now? Because I haven't watched it yet. That's why.
We could do it next. In the next.
It's food porn, the series.
Yeah.
Do you like food? So does the mangaka.
I was like, the mangaka literally said,
I bet I can make food sexy.
No, he literally what was the train of thought? He said, if you were to draw anything like an artist draws porn, you could make it appealing to anyone. It's like, oh yeah, prove it. And he makes a food he gets a porn artist to draw food really well, and it's like, wow,
so
you did
awkward.
It. And then he actually just draws porn, and it's like, wait.
And then it becomes a hit series.
Yeah, and it's like,
yeah. And I just like watch it, and I just like see it from like a distance. Like, I'm not interested in this. the spirit of the thing, though, I can't admit
so
makes
instead
money.
of the first 5 episodes of Shingeki no Sama, we're gonna just watch Shingeki no Sanji, which is a much better.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So final. Any final thoughts? You give it a gold. You give it a tentative gold, and I give it a silver.
Tentative gold because I know that I'm blinded by the majesty of Fire Fist Ace.
Yeah. And I give it a definite silver because this is the beginning of it.
And I respect that. I've seen the last 2 episodes of this set more times than any other episode. I was preemptively writing notes as I was going, as it was happening. It's like, well, this is happening. I'm just going to write this down so I remember it.
Let's just say Ace is her type.
Oh, what makes you think that? No, not Ace. Almost Ace though. It's like Ace for the longest time.
Okay,
was my favorite
if we
character.
take Ace, give Ace a tragic backstory.
A 3-piece suit.
Put him in a 3-piece suit. Give him blonde hair. Okay, maybe that's.
And like the same exact
not
power
one that you
set.
smoke, one that he hits people with. Okay, that's it.
Don't know where we would find that.
Yeah, don't know who that could possibly be.
No, couldn't possibly be. Couldn't possibly exist in my.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
I'm looking forward to Alabasta. You know, because I know that if we can get to Saba OD, we're pretty much in the home stretch at this point.
Yeah, because
once we get past the time skip, we're here to stay. We gotta get there though. We gotta get through 4 more straw hats.
Once we hit the
Thriller Bark.
When we hit Thriller Bark, we're effectively like stuck. We're doing this forever.
We're halfway there at this point. It used to be that Saba OD was halfway there. Not anymore. Because Totland and Wano happened. And the Marijwa arc happened.
Yeah, Mary Joy's happened, so who knows? Okay, so next episode we're going to be doing some more things.
It's going to be a filler arc, so there's, besides Ace, there's not really going to be a lot.
Well, there's one episode of non-filler. In this filler arc. No, it's Vivi's flashback. It's like an entire episode just devoted to Vivi's flashback that happens later in the series.
With her maybe boyfriend?
Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna review something at the beginning again. We're gonna
this one is a series that we both watched before, but it's been a while since I've seen the first 5 episodes of it.
Yeah, so see you later, everyone.
See ya.
See you in the next one.